deep within the velvet expanse of the exosphere, a sprawling metallic leviathan carves through the absolute darkness at an astonishing 5 miles every single second. This cosmic structure moves with such staggering velocity that it effortlessly outpaces the very rotation of the Earth, crossing entire continents in the time it takes to brew a cup of coffee. By moving this fast, it begins to stretch and warp the fundamental nature of time itself for the explorers living inside its pressurized walls. Imagine a reality where the sun does not merely rise and set once, but explodes over the curved blue horizon 16 times before you even close your eyes to rest. This endless, hypnotic carousel of dawn and dusk shatters the ancient, familiar rhythms of human biology that have guided our species for millennia. Instead of a slow, predictable planetary clock, the inhabitants are subjected to a relentless and terrifyingly beautiful visual spectacle of light and shadow. Picture the sheer isolation of floating in a place where the nearest human help is hundreds of miles straight down through a burning atmosphere. Yet, against all odds, this fragile alliance in the stars stands as one of humanity's most peaceful and enduring achievements, a beacon of cooperation in an often divided world. It is a sanctuary of shared knowledge, where the geopolitical borders of the planet below simply vanish at the airlock hatch. Surprisingly, the lethal vacuum outside is not the only miracle, as the hidden architecture within the modules transforms the very concept of waste into a flawless, life-giving cycle of renewal. Every single exhaled breath and every stray drop of moisture is meticulously captured by a tireless network of hidden, mechanical veins. This complex web of machinery quietly filters and recycles the elements of survival, proving that humanity can engineer its own infinite oasis in the dark. If we were to look closer at your own quiet room right now, you would find that gravity is holding you with a gentle, unwavering certainty. You are safe. These wonders are yours to inherit as you sleep. Let your breathing slow down to match the steady, rhythmic heartbeat of this orbital sanctuary as it glides silently through the ancient stars. A cosmic lullaby sung by the greatest machine ever built invites you to completely release the tension in your frame. Allow the heavy weight of the world to slip away, elevating your dreaming mind to a place far above the clouds. Ascend past the turbulence of the lower atmosphere, rising into the calm, breathless theatre of the exosphere where the sky turns from blue to bottomless black. Your consciousness now hovers seamlessly alongside this magnificent floating outpost, preparing to look through the thick glass of the cupola window. From this staggering vantage point, the traditional concept of a day completely dissolves into a rapid, mesmerizing cycle of light and shadow. From this staggering vantage point, the traditional concept of a day completely dissolves into a rapid, mesmerizing cycle of light and shadow. Traveling at 5 miles per second, the International Space Station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes, turning time itself into a visual spectacle. 16 times every 24 hours, a brilliant sunrise breaches the curved horizon, flooding the modules with intense, unfiltered solar radiation. As the station glides relentlessly forward, this blinding dawn quickly matures into a stark, glaring midday that illuminates the continents passing silently below. Astronauts find their biological rhythms untethered from the familiar 24-hour clock, forced to adapt to a reality where morning and night are fleeting moments rather than enduring states. The sudden plunge back into darkness brings an equally abrupt sunset, dropping the temperature outside the hull by hundreds of degrees in mere minutes. Surprisingly, the universe offers no twilight in the vacuum of space, only a stark transition from brilliant gold to absolute, bottomless obsidian. This endless carousel of dawn and dusk creates a hypnotic rhythm, forever altering how the human mind comprehends the steady passage of time. If we were to look closer, the sheer thinness of this protective layer becomes startlingly apparent against the staggering scale of the planet. It appears no thicker than the skin of an apple, a translucent halo clinging desperately to the gravity of the rotating sphere. Within that microscopic sliver of gas, every storm, every breath, and every moment of human history is entirely contained and preserved. Beyond this radiant threshold lies the infinite, absolute blackness of a universe, completely indifferent to the delicate warmth flourishing beneath. The stark contrast between the vibrant living jewel of Earth and the dead, frozen expanse emphasizes the sheer improbability of our collective existence. Deep within the swirling white expanses of global weather systems, lightning storms look like silent rhythmic fireflies pulsing beneath a veil of cotton. Stripped of the booming thunder that rattles windows on the ground, these massive electrical discharges become purely visual, hypnotic displays of raw planetary energy. Across the vast stretches of the Pacific or the dense canopies of the Amazon, the clouds suddenly flash with brilliant erratic bursts of pure white light. Notice how a single strike often triggers a cascading chain reaction, illuminating interconnected webs of storm cells that span hundreds of miles in mere seconds. From an altitude of 250 miles, the violent fury of a tempest is entirely neutralized, transformed into a tranquil, twinkling bioluminescence. The atmosphere acts as a massive frosted lens, softening the harsh edges of the lightning into glowing, ethereal orbs that bloom and vanish instantaneously. These silent, flashing beacons offer a godlike perspective on the chaotic energy constantly churning across the troposphere. Floating in the absolute quiet of the cupola, astronauts can only watch in awe as the Earth silently breathes fire into the dark beneath them. Imagine floating by the cupola window as the brilliant teal of the Bahamas gives way to the deep, impenetrable navy of the Atlantic Ocean. The transition is startlingly sudden, tracing the steep underwater cliffs where the shallow, sunlit coral reefs plunge into the crushing depths of the abyss. From orbit, the tropical waters appear almost luminous, painted in impossible shades of aquamarine, turquoise, and pale mint that glow against the surrounding darker currents. This visual masterpiece scrolls slowly beneath the glass, offering a seamless, borderless map of the world unfolding in real time. The intricate, swirling patterns of the sandbars look like brushstrokes left by an unseen artist upon a massive, fluid canvas. Without the constraints of gravity pulling them down, observers can hover weightlessly for hours, completely mesmerized by the hypnotic glide of the oceanic topography. Gradually, the vivid, bright shallows are swallowed by the vast, intimidating expanse of the open ocean, an endless void of dark water stretching to the horizon. It is a profound visual journey that perfectly captures the overwhelming solitary majesty of our isolated water world. As the space station crosses the terminator line into the planet's shadow, city lights weave a fragile golden spiderweb across the darkened continents. These sprawling networks of human habitation trace the contours of coastlines, rivers, and major highways, outlining the anatomy of civilization in brilliant, glowing amber. Densely populated megacities burn with intense, centralized hubs of light, their sprawling suburbs reaching out like luminous, glowing tendrils into the empty rural darkness. Picture the Nile River winding through the barren blackness of the Sahara, perfectly illuminated by a solid ribbon of light that mirrors the water's path. In contrast, vast expanses of the Earth, like the Australian outback or the Siberian tundra, remain entirely swallowed by an ancient, uninterrupted night. The glowing geography serves as a silent testament to human ingenuity, mapping our collective footprint upon the surface of the globe. Occasionally, the distinct blue-white glare of newer LED streetlights creates sharp, icy patches within the warmer, traditional yellow glow of older urban grids. Floating securely in the silent void, an astronaut can trace the entire history of human expansion simply by reading the constellations of electricity below. Near the magnetic poles, auroras dance below the station in sweeping, colossal ribbons of ghostly green and vivid magenta. These phenomenal light shows are born from violent solar winds slamming into the planet's magnetic field, igniting the upper atmosphere in a silent cosmic fire. Unlike observers on the ground who look up at the display, astronauts often find themselves flying directly through or slightly above these undulating, glowing curtains. This unique perspective reveals the sheer three-dimensional depth of the auroral oval, exposing massive pillars of charged particles stretching hundreds of miles into the exosphere. The colours shift and writhe with an eerie, serpentine fluidity, reacting to unseen magnetic currents that govern the invisible architecture of the Earth's defences. It is a mesmerising, almost supernatural manifestation of the relentless battle between the sun's radiation and the protective embrace of our home world. Even seasoned space travellers find themselves captivated by the erratic, pulsating glow that temporarily eclipses the familiar geography passing beneath. The silent, shifting glow bathes the metallic exterior of the space station in an alien light, briefly turning the orbital outpost into a phantom ship sailing a neon sea. Stripped of the comforting illusion provided by standing on the ground, the atmosphere reveals its terrifying thinness against the endless cosmic backdrop. When viewed edge-on during a sunrise, the layer of breathable air forms an impossibly delicate, luminous halo that seems entirely inadequate to sustain billions of lives. It is a stark, sobering visual reality that violently forces a shift in perspective regarding the vulnerability of our global ecosystem. Consider that the distance from the ocean's surface to the freezing edge of space is less than a typical highway drive between two neighbouring cities. This razor-thin envelope contains every cloud, every bird, every mountain peak, and the entirety of human atmospheric history. To an astronaut pressing their face against the reinforced glass, the sky is no longer a vast, endless blue dome stretching into infinity. Instead, it is merely a translucent, glowing skin, clinging to the rocky mass of the Earth by the sheer force of gravity. Understanding the fragility of this protective barrier becomes an unavoidable, profound realization that forever changes how one views the pale blue sphere we call home. During specific periods of a low sun angle, the massive shadows of the station itself sometimes race across the tops of white clouds below. It is an incredibly surreal phenomenon, projecting the distinct, jagged silhouette of the solar arrays and metallic modules onto the soft, billowing troposphere. Travelling at an astonishing 17,000 miles per hour, this ghostly, dark apparition skims across the weather systems faster than any aircraft could ever hope to fly. These fleeting moments of intersection between the orbital machine and the natural world provide a sudden, dizzying sense of scale and velocity. Normally, the Earth feels like a slow, majestic painting, unrolling perfectly beneath the window, completely disconnected from the immediate reality of the spacecraft. However, seeing the station's own shadow cast upon the clouds instantly connects the observer to the sheer speed of their continuous, terrifying freefall. The intricate geometry of the trusses and radiators is briefly etched in grey against the brilliant white canvas of the cloud decks. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the angle of the sun shifts, and the colossal phantom vanishes back into the blinding glare of the day. When viewed in their entirety from the absolute calm of orbit, massive hurricanes appear serene, perfectly sculpted, and entirely devoid of their inherent malice. The chaotic, destructive winds that tear apart coastal cities and uproot ancient forests are completely invisible from 250 miles above. Instead, the tempest resembles a pristine, slowly churning galaxy of white vapour, meticulously organised around the stark, terrifying emptiness of its central eye. If we were to look closer, the towering three-dimensional structure of the eye wall becomes apparent, casting long, dramatic shadows across the lower cloud decks during sunset. The immense power of the storm is masked by its graceful, deliberate rotation, moving across the vast expanse of the ocean with an eerie, silent majesty. Astronauts can safely float over the exact centre of the maelstrom, looking straight down the deep, cloudless well to the violently churning sea surface below. This absolute detachment from the storm's devastation creates a profound sense of cognitive dissonance for the weightless observers. It forces them to reconcile the breathtaking natural beauty of the atmospheric spiral with the heartbreaking reality of the destruction it brings to the world below. In a complete reversal of the typical human experience, shooting stars occasionally streak directly beneath the astronauts, burning up in the atmosphere below. Peering down into the dark abyss of the night side, crew members can witness the sudden, brilliant flash of meteors disintegrating violently against the air. These tiny fragments of ancient cosmic debris ignite into incandescent streaks of pure white or vibrant orange as they meet the friction of the Earth's shield. Surprisingly, the universe offers this fiery spectacle not as something to look up at, but as a silent fireworks display occurring near their boots. The station itself orbits high above the dense layers of the mesosphere, where the vast majority of these microscopic asteroids finally meet their explosive end. Witnessing a meteor shower from this inverted perspective emphasizes the station's precarious position on the absolute edge of the cosmic ocean. It serves as a silent, beautiful reminder of the relentless bombardment our planet endures every single day. Safely isolated in their pressurized metallic sanctuary, the crew watches these brief, brilliant deaths of ancient stardust softly illuminate the dark edge of the world. Safely isolated in their pressurized metallic sanctuary, the crew watches these brief, brilliant deaths of ancient stardust softly illuminate the dark edge of the world. This structure spans the length of an American football field, floating weightlessly in the vacuum, an impossible monument to human engineering suspended against the absolute dark. From end to end, the intricate lattice of aluminum and titanium stretches over 300 feet, a sprawling mechanical leviathan gracefully navigating the exosphere. To truly comprehend its scale, one must picture a sprawling laboratory complex complete with living quarters and power plants, completely uprooted and hurled into the void. It is the largest single object ever constructed by humanity in space, a technological marvel that easily outshines the brightest stars when it catches the orbital dawn. Yet, despite its massive size and staggering complexity, it moves with the silent, frictionless elegance of a ghost ship sailing an invisible sea. The sheer mass of the outpost, weighing nearly 1 million pounds, is entirely negated by the constant state of freefall that defines its continuous orbit. It stands as a profound testament to what can be achieved when nations unite to build something far greater than any single country could manage alone. Massive golden solar arrays track the sun with silent, deliberate precision throughout the orbit, unfolding like the metallic wings of an enormous mechanical insect. These colossal energy-gathering panels, each extending over 100 feet, rotate continuously on motorized joints to capture every available photon of unfiltered solar radiation. As the station crosses from the shadow of the night side into the searing glare of the day, the arrays are immediately bathed in blinding golden light. Notice how the surface of these arrays is not a single, solid sheet, but a complex mosaic of tens of thousands of individual delicate photovoltaic cells. They drink in the raw power of the nearby star, instantly converting the harsh cosmic glare into the electrical lifeblood that sustains every system on board. The slow, rhythmic turning of these wings is one of the few visible signs of movement on the exterior, a mechanical ballet choreographed to the relentless rhythm of the 90-minute day. Your own breathing deepens, matching the slow, rhythmic turning of the colossal wings outside the station window. The quiet hum of your resting pulse aligns with the steady, measured rotation of the arrays as they harvest the light. The station was assembled piece by piece in the void, a puzzle completed over decades, a monumental feat of orbital construction unparalleled in human history. Unlike a ship built in a dry dock and launched whole, this sprawling complex was pieced together hundreds of miles above the planet's surface, while travelling at 17,000 miles per hour. Module after module was ferried up in the cargo bays of shuttles and rockets, carefully extracted by robotic arms and mated perfectly with the existing structure. Imagine the breathtaking precision required to connect these massive multi-ton cylinders constructed by different nations and ensure an airtight seal on the very first try. The assembly process required hundreds of exhausting spacewalks, with astronauts tightening bolts and routing cables while clinging precariously to the exterior in the harsh vacuum. It is a structure born entirely of extreme environments, designed to survive in a place where standard construction materials and methods are completely useless. The legacy of this decades-long construction project is visibly etched into the mismatched colouring and varied architectural styles of the interconnected laboratory nodes. It is a constantly evolving living machine, perpetually upgraded and expanded as humanity pushes the boundaries of its orbital capabilities. Layers of Kevlar and aluminum quietly shield the inhabitants from the harshness of the cosmos, providing a critical barrier against a fundamentally hostile environment. The walls of the living modules are not solid blocks of metal, but complex multi-layered defensive systems engineered to absorb and dissipate catastrophic energy. The outermost layer is a specialized shield designed specifically to shatter incoming microscopic debris traveling at speeds that would vaporize standard armor plating. Deep within these walls, multiple blankets of woven Kevlar and high-density foam stand ready to catch any fragments that manage to pierce the initial outer defense. This sophisticated layering creates a bulletproof vest for the entire station, quietly absorbing the silent microscopic gunfire of the cosmos without ever alerting the crew inside. Between the inner pressure shell and the outer shielding, dense insulation protects against extreme temperature swings, blocking both the searing heat of the sun and the freezing absolute zero of the shadows. It is a terrifying thought that only a few inches of engineered fabric and metal separate a warm, breathing human from the instant death of the vacuum. Yet, within this protective cocoon, the environment feels incredibly safe, a testament to the flawless execution of this vital, invisible armour. Deep within the trusses, miles of wiring form the metallic nervous system of the outpost, a complex web of data and power lines pulsing with invisible energy. This intricate network of cables runs the entire length of the structure, connecting the massive solar arrays and cooling systems to the delicate scientific instruments inside the pressurized modules. Thick bundles of heavily insulated wires snake along the exterior framework, constantly exposed to the brutal extremes of the orbital environment. If we were to look closer, the sheer volume of this wiring is staggering, representing millions of individual connections that must function flawlessly in absolute silence. These cables carry everything from life support telemetry and scientific data to the simple audio feeds that allow the crew to speak with their families. They are the arteries and veins of the station, ensuring that power and information flow continuously to every corner of the sprawling complex. Let your body sink deeper into the surface supporting you, feeling the steady, uninterrupted flow of your own breath. As you relax, picture the silent, continuous flow of energy coursing through the hidden metallic veins of the orbiting outpost. Picture the cooling radiators glowing faintly in the infrared spectrum as they shed excess heat into space, a vital mechanism for preventing the station from slowly melting. While the solar arrays gather the energy needed to power the lights and machines, all of that consumed electricity eventually turns into dangerous, unmanageable heat. To solve this, vast networks of external panels, resembling large white accordion folds, unfurl precisely to act as massive cosmic air conditioners. Liquid ammonia is continuously pumped through miles of internal tubing, absorbing the thermal energy generated by the electronics, the life support systems, and the bodies of the crew. This heated fluid is then routed out to the external radiators, where it releases its heat directly into the freezing darkness of the surrounding vacuum. Without this constant, silent exhalation of thermal energy, the internal temperature of the modules would quickly rise to lethal levels, baking everything inside. These vital cooling structures stand perpendicular to the golden solar wings, creating a striking visual contrast between the elements designed to capture fire and those designed to release it. They are silent sentinels of equilibrium, ensuring that the fragile balance of life and machinery is maintained against the harsh extremes of the orbital environment. Imagine the geometric perfection of the modules connecting smoothly, like a quiet metallic reef, an intricate network of interconnected cylinders and spheres. From the outside, the core of the station resembles a complex futuristic submarine suspended entirely out of water, its rounded hulls designed to perfectly contain atmospheric pressure. At the centre of this maze are the nodes, specialised spherical junctions that serve as the main intersections, allowing astronauts to move seamlessly between the different international laboratories. The docking ports, where visiting spacecraft arrive, are ringed with heavy latches and precise alignment guides, ensuring a flawless, airtight connection every single time. The exterior of these pressurized cans is wrapped in thick protective blankets, giving them a padded, almost quilted appearance that contrasts sharply with the rigid metallic trusses. It is an architecture completely dictated by function over form, where every curve and every valve is engineered specifically to preserve human life in a deadly vacuum. This artificial reef provides an anchor in the vast, empty ocean of space, a sanctuary where delicate scientific work can proceed uninterrupted by the chaos below. It is a stunning display of functional geometry, a quiet, orderly oasis floating above the chaotic, swirling storms of the home planet. The exterior glows with an ethereal silver light when bathed in the unfiltered sun, reflecting a harsh, brilliant intensity rarely seen through a protective atmosphere. Without layers of air to scatter the light, the sun's rays hit the metallic surfaces with brutal clarity, creating shadows that are absolute and razor-sharp. The anodized aluminum and white thermal blankets act like massive orbital mirrors, bouncing the intense glare back into the profound darkness of the surrounding void. Surprisingly, this blinding illumination reveals every tiny imperfection, every scratch, and every smudge accumulated over decades of continuous exposure and grueling maintenance spacewalks. The contrast between the illuminated surfaces and those in shadow is so extreme that it can temporarily blind a camera lens or an unprotected eye. It is an environment of absolute visual extremes, where the soft, diffused lighting we enjoy on the ground simply does not exist. Allow the muscles in your jaw and shoulders to soften completely, releasing any lingering tension into the quiet darkness. Imagine that harsh, brilliant glare slowly fading away, replaced by the deep, restful shadow of the orbital night slipping over the station. Tiny micrometeoroid impacts have left microscopic, silent craters across the handrails over the years, a testament to the invisible, high-speed rain constantly peppering the structure. While the heavy shielding protects the critical living quarters, the exposed metallic surfaces bear the subtle, permanent scars of thousands of tiny collisions. During spacewalks, astronauts must carefully inspect their heavy gloves after gripping these handrails, as the impact craters often leave incredibly sharp, jagged edges in the metal. These tiny projectiles, often no larger than a grain of sand, strike the station at velocities exceeding 20,000 miles per hour, packing the kinetic energy of a rifle bullet. They are the silent, microscopic debris left behind by ancient comets, or tiny fragments of old satellites endlessly circling the planet in a deadly invisible swarm. The fact that the station survives this continuous bombardment is a testament to the incredible resilience engineered into every inch of its outer skin. Each microscopic pit is a frozen moment of violent impact, a tiny, permanent record of the harsh, unforgiving nature of the environment just outside the glass. They're quiet reminders that the void is not truly empty, but filled with invisible dangers moving at unimaginable speeds. Without gravity to stress the joints, the entire frame hums in a steady, unified equilibrium, completely free from the relentless, crushing weight that dominates structures on Earth. Massive steel bridges and soaring skyscrapers are designed primarily to fight the constant downward pull of the planet, requiring enormous internal strength just to remain standing. In orbit, however, the massive metallic trusses and sprawling arrays experience no such burden, floating effortlessly in a state of permanent, frictionless grace. This lack of gravitational stress allows the station to be incredibly long and delicate, a sprawling architecture that would instantly collapse under its own weight if it were suddenly placed on the ground. The only forces the structure must endure are the gentle rhythmic thermal expansion and contraction as it moves between the intense heat of the sun and the freezing cold of the shadow. The entire complex exists in a state of profound mechanical peace, a delicate balance maintained purely by its staggering velocity. It is an architecture liberated from the fundamental rules of terrestrial physics, a monument built not to conquer gravity, but to entirely escape it. The silent, floating geometry of the outpost represents a completely new era of design, where the limits of construction are bound only by the imagination and the cold, quiet rules of the vacuum. Within these cold, quiet rules of the vacuum, the human body must completely relearn how to navigate space, entering a dreamlike state of perpetual flight. Moving through the pressurized modules requires only the gentlest tap of a fingertip against a handrail to soar gracefully down a long metallic corridor. The heavy, plodding footsteps that define terrestrial locomotion are instantly rendered obsolete, replaced by a fluid, effortless glide that completely ignores the deck below. Notice how seasoned space travelers navigate tight corners with the casual elegance of deep-sea divers, guiding their trajectory with subtle shifts of their shoulders. Novices, however, often overcompensate during their first few days, pushing off with too much force and tumbling clumsily into the padded walls. Every translation from one module to another becomes an exercise in calculated momentum, requiring a delicate kinetic balance rather than raw physical exertion. This effortless soaring fundamentally alters the relationship between the mind and its surrounding environment, stripping away the exhausting friction of a gravity-bound existence. Unburdened by mass, the leg muscles no longer need to constantly fire just to keep a person upright, inducing a profound state of continuous physical relaxation. It is a liberating, magical reality, where the simple act of crossing a room feels like a graceful, slow-motion ballet performed in mid-air. Stripped of the relentless downward pull that dictates human orientation, the inner ear quickly abandons its traditional sense of up and down. Inside the orbital outpost, the concepts of floor and ceiling simply cease to exist, rendering every available surface an equal platform for work or rest. An astronaut can comfortably hold a complex conversation while hovering completely inverted relative to their crewmate, without experiencing any uncomfortable rush of blood to the head. Picture a laboratory, where heavy equipment is mounted on all four walls of a cylindrical corridor, maximizing the usable volume of the enclosed space. Labels, caution warnings, and instructional text are printed in multiple directions, ensuring they can be easily read regardless of the angle at which an observer floats past. The mind must adapt to a purely relativistic geometry, mapping out locations based on the names of intersecting nodes rather than an arbitrary global orientation. This cognitive leap can be initially disorienting, causing a temporary illusion where the entire room suddenly appears to flip violently around the stationary observer. Eventually, the brain accepts this new three-dimensional freedom, unlocking an incredible spatial awareness that relies entirely on visual cues rather than gravitational anchors. The internal architecture of the station becomes a boundless playground of perspective, completely defying earthly architectural conventions. When released from the confines of a container, water refuses to flow or spill, instead gathering itself into perfect shimmering spheres that wobble gently in mid-air. Governed purely by surface tension in the absence of weight, these floating liquid globes act like dynamic, transparent lenses, refracting the cabin lights in mesmerizing patterns. If left completely undisturbed, they will hover peacefully in the ambient airflow, maintaining a flawless geometric symmetry impossible to achieve on the planetary surface. Deep within the galley, drinking becomes an entirely different endeavour, requiring crew members to carefully sip from specialised valves rather than pour into open cups. A rogue droplet escaping a drink pouch instantly becomes a tiny, wandering satellite, drifting lazily through the cabin until it collides with a wall. The chaotic splash of a spilled beverage is entirely replaced by the serene, almost hypnotic drift of hundreds of tiny, separate liquid marbles. Imagine injecting a tiny air bubble into the center of one of these floating water spheres, creating a perfect hollow pocket of air trapped inside a liquid shell. Scientists continually marvel at the strange, beautiful physics of fluid dynamics here, observing how different liquids interact and merge without convection tearing them apart. These suspended, wobbling jewels of water are a constant, delightful reminder of the alien physical laws governing the interior of the vessel. Let the tension drain from your own limbs, imagining your body becoming as weightless and relaxed as a floating sphere of pure water. Feel the steady, reliable support of the surface beneath you as you sink further into a state of deep tranquility. The ritual of a shared meal undergoes a radical transformation when the ingredients absolutely refuse to stay quietly on a plate. Food must be carefully contained within sealed pouches or specialized tins, which are then firmly tethered to the dining table with strips of fabric or bungee cords. Without these anchors, an entire dinner could easily drift away midway through a bite, wandering off into the intricate labyrinth of the nearby equipment racks. Surprisingly, the palate also changes in this floating environment, as the lack of gravity causes internal body fluids to shift evenly, subtly dampening the sense of taste and smell. To combat this muted sensory experience, crews often crave intensely spicy or heavily seasoned foods, making hot sauce one of the most highly prized commodities on board. Every meal is carefully rehydrated and heated in a specialized oven, transforming freeze-dried blocks into comforting, intensely flavoured tastes of home. Eating together remains a crucial psychological anchor, a dedicated time when the diverse international crew gathers to share stories and swap favourite dishes from their respective cultures. Watching a spicy shrimp cocktail or a block of chocolate pudding hover momentarily before being snatched out of the air adds an element of playful joy to daily sustenance. Despite the clinical packaging, the galley constantly resonates with laughter and camaraderie, proving that the human need for connection transcends the bizarre physics of the dining room. Freed from the lifelong, invisible burden of supporting the body's mass, the human spine slowly begins to uncoil and expand in the microgravity environment. The gelatinous discs resting between the vertebrae absorb fluid and swell, without the constant downward pressure of walking, sitting, or standing on a planet. As a direct result, crew members can grow up to 2 inches taller during a long-duration mission, literally stretching out in the absence of earthly constraints. This remarkable physical elongation necessitates highly adjustable spacesuits, ensuring that the custom-fitted protective gear remains functional and comfortable after months in orbit. It is a temporary, almost magical growth spurt that dramatically transforms the physical stature of even the most seasoned, mature explorers. Yet, this sudden lengthening of the back often comes with a dull, persistent ache, as the surrounding muscles and ligaments strain to accommodate their new, stretched positions. If we were to look closer, this adaptation highlights the incredible plasticity of human anatomy when placed in completely alien conditions. The body immediately stops investing energy in resisting a force that no longer exists, reallocating its biological resources to survive the novel environment. Upon their eventual return to a planetary surface, gravity brutally compresses the spine back to its original length, a painful, heavy reintroduction to the weight of the world. The chaotic frustration of dropping a vital piece of equipment simply vanishes, replaced by a strange, slow-motion scavenger hunt. A misplaced wrench or a floating pen will not crash to the floor. Instead, it simply hovers exactly where it was left, drifting only on the invisible currents of the cabin's atmosphere. If bumped, the object embarks on a steady, linear journey across the module, bouncing softly off walls until its momentum is fully absorbed by the surrounding air. Notice the relentless, quiet hum of the environmental control system, constantly pulling stale air through massive banks of hidden filtration screens to maintain purity. This persistent, gentle breeze acts as a slow-moving river, eventually catching any unsecured items and carrying them toward the large return grates covering the walls. When a crew member loses track of a small tool or a personal item, they routinely check these ventilation intakes, where a bizarre assortment of lost objects slowly accumulates. This quirky phenomenon demands intense organizational discipline, requiring every piece of gear to be securely tethered to a stable surface immediately after use. The environment punishes absent-mindedness not with a loud destructive crash, but with a silent vanishing act that can delay scientific progress for hours. Yet, watching a heavy power drill hang suspended in mid-air like a sleeping bird never loses its surreal, captivating charm. Take a slow, deep breath, observing how the air moves effortlessly in and out of your lungs without any conscious effort. Allow your racing thoughts to slow down, gently drifting away like a misplaced tool caught in a quiet, invisible current. Without the downward force that normally keeps it neatly draped over the shoulders, long hair instantly transforms into a wild, untamed halo. The strands drift freely in all directions, swaying gently and undulating like the tentacles of a deep-sea anemone caught in a slow oceanic tide. It is a striking visual indicator of the weightless environment, framing the faces of the crew in a constantly shifting ethereal crown of unbound locks. Picture the daily challenge of grooming when every loose hair becomes an instant airborne hazard, capable of clogging delicate optical sensors or vital ventilation fans. Haircuts must be performed with extreme caution, utilizing specially modified clippers attached directly to vacuum hoses that swallow every trimmed fragment before it can escape. The simple act of brushing requires careful, deliberate strokes to prevent the creation of a massive, localized cloud of floating static electricity. As the weeping continues, this fluid blob grows larger, eventually spreading across the bridge of the nose or blurring the astronaut's vision completely. It is a profoundly uncomfortable sensation, akin to having a heavy, warm gel pressing persistently against the sensitive surface of the eyeball. To clear the liquid, one must literally wipe the tear away with a towel, physically detaching the clinging puddle from the delicate skin of the face. This strange limitation strips away the classic visual poetry of a single tear rolling down a cheek, replacing it with a localized aquatic hazard. Yet, the deep isolation and overwhelming beauty of the orbital vista frequently evoke profound emotions, ensuring that these lingering, stubborn tears are occasionally shed. It is a poignant reminder that while the rules of physics change drastically, the fundamental emotional core of the human heart remains exactly the same. To prevent the rapid deterioration of bone density and muscle mass, rigorous physical exertion is not a choice, but an absolute daily requirement for survival. Without the passive, everyday workout of fighting gravity, the body quickly begins to break itself down, shedding unneeded strength at an alarming, dangerous rate. Consequently, crews must dedicate over 2 hours every single day to intense exercise, strapping themselves tightly onto specialized, highly complex contraptions. Imagine running on a treadmill while wearing a heavy harness equipped with massive bungee cords, artificially pulling the runner downward to simulate the missing weight of the world. Heavyweight lifting is achieved through advanced pneumatic cylinders that provide resistance against the vacuum, entirely replacing traditional iron plates that would simply float away into the overhead lights. These grueling sessions leave the astronauts drenched in sweat, which, instead of dripping, clings to their skin in a continuous, heavy, shimmering sheen. The hum and clatter of these exercise machines echo constantly through the modules, serving as a rhythmic, mechanical heartbeat of human endurance. It is a grueling battle against the natural decay induced by the unnatural environment, a daily down payment on their eventual safe return to terrestrial gravity. This disciplined regimen highlights the incredible lengths humanity must go to artificially maintain its earthly biology while completely separated from its evolutionary home. Feel the reliable, solid weight of your own body resting peacefully, anchored safely by the invisible force beneath you. appreciate the quiet, effortless strength in your bones and muscles, relaxing deeply into the comfort of gravity's familiar, gentle embrace. The introduction of a musical instrument into the pressurized modules brings a profound sense of psychological comfort and a beautiful, unexpected acoustic shift. Even the simple act of playing an acoustic guitar produces a uniquely pure, resonant sound when the wooden body is allowed to float completely free from any resting surface. Stripped of the dampening effect caused by resting against a knee or a torso, the entire instrument vibrates with an unimpeded, crystalline clarity. Notice how the notes seem to hang slightly longer in the recycled atmosphere, bouncing off the metallic racks and complex geometries of the laboratory walls. A strummed chord resonates with a startling brilliance, cutting effortlessly through the ambient white noise of the ever-present life support fans. The musician merely guides the neck, allowing the instrument to hover independently, transforming the act of playing into a synchronized, joyful dance with a floating partner. These quiet moments of musical expression offer a vital, artistic escape from the rigorous clinical demands of scientific research and orbital maintenance. The soft, lingering melodies bridge the immense silent void between the outpost and the vibrant cultures spinning rapidly on the planet far below. This floating symphony stands as a beautiful testament to the enduring human spirit, proving that art and beauty can thrive even in the most extreme, alien environments imaginable. Within this thriving spirit of exploration, the station houses a quieter form of life that persists against all odds in the sterile, airless vacuum. Inside the specialized veggie module, tiny plants push through pillows of clay and fertilizer without the slightest instinct of which way is up or down. These root pillows replace traditional soil, carefully anchoring the sprouts in a nutrient-rich medium that prevents them from drifting into the cabin air and clogging the vital life support filters. It is a strange, upside-down nursery where gravity-deprived seedlings must rely entirely on the direction of light and the presence of moisture to find their path. Without the heavy, guiding hand of earthly gravity to direct their growth, they navigate their internal biological maps with a persistent and quiet determination. This botanical struggle is a slow-motion mirror of our own journey, demonstrating that even the most fragile life seeks a path toward the light, regardless of the orientation of the world. The sight of a tiny green stem emerging from its dark metallic cradle offers a profound sense of hope to everyone on board, proving that the urge to grow is universal. Each sprout is a defiant statement against the void, a living testament to the resilience of terrestrial biology when faced with the absolute extreme of the cosmic environment. Soft pink and purple lights bathe the orbital greenhouse, creating a vibrant alien glow that contrasts sharply with the sterile, monochromatic surfaces of the nearby laboratory. These specific wavelengths of LED light, mostly red and blue, are meticulously tuned to maximize the efficiency of photosynthesis while minimizing the station's precious and limited energy consumption. It is a striking visual paradox where the most natural of processes, the growth of a leaf, is facilitated by the most advanced of human technologies. This purple sanctuary becomes a beacon of biological activity, a radiant heart pulsing with the quiet energy of 1,000 emerging cells and stretching fibers. As the light reflects off the metallic racks, it creates a dreamlike atmosphere that reminds the crew of the vibrant, colourful world they left behind. Beyond the hard data of biology, astronauts often find deep psychological comfort in tending to these silent, growing companions during their long months of isolation. In an environment dominated by cold metal surfaces, the constant mechanical whir of cooling fans, and the vast silence of the vacuum, the presence of something living is a powerful emotional anchor. Taking a few quiet moments to prune a stray leaf or check the moisture in a sprout offers a sensory connection to the home planet that no digital screen could ever replicate. It is a quiet, meditative ritual that provides a necessary respite from the high-stakes, technical demands of daily life in the stars. The simple act of touching a soft velvet leaf or watching a bud slowly unfurl over several days brings a sense of normalcy and peace to the high-tech surroundings. These plants act as silent therapy sessions, absorbing the stress of their caretakers and offering a glimpse of the green world that remains waiting for them far below. They are more than just scientific experiments. They are vital, living companions in the deepest sense of the word, sharing the journey through the dark. Caring for them reminds the crew that they are not just operators of a machine, but stewards of life in a place where life is precious. Water must be carefully injected directly into the root pillows using a specialized syringe, as it will not soak downward or disperse through the soil on its own. Feel the steady, heavy rhythm of your own pulse, as calm and persistent as the slow movement of water through the station's intricate and life-giving plumbing. In the absence of gravity, surface tension causes water to cling stubbornly to surfaces or form unhelpful, floating balls rather than saturating the roots evenly, as it would on an earthly farm. If even a small amount of extra fluid is added, it can literally drown the plant by forming a suffocating gelatinous layer of liquid that blocks essential oxygen from reaching the roots. This delicate choreography of hydration is a constant manual challenge, requiring the crew to act as a precise artificial rain for their fragile dependents. Every drop must be accounted for and placed with surgical accuracy to ensure the survival of the delicate leafy occupants. This labour-intensive care creates a deep symbiotic bond between the humans and the plants, ensuring their survival against the unique physics of a weightless home. The first flower to bloom in space was a bright orange zinnia, unfolding its vivid petals against the stark monochromatic background of the orbital station. This successful flowering was a major milestone for long-term exploration, proving that complex reproductive cycles could be completed entirely within the weightless environment. The zinnia's striking, fiery colour served as a beacon of life, its jagged petals reaching out toward the LED arrays with a tenacity that surprised the veteran researchers. It stood as a radiant symbol of resilience, a tiny bit of terrestrial beauty successfully translated into the harsh, clinical vocabulary of the stars. Witnessing the bloom was a moment of profound joy for the crew, who gathered around the module to photograph the small orange star that had appeared in their metallic home. The flower did not seem to mind the lack of gravity or the artificial air, opening its heart to the artificial sun with the same grace it would have shown in an earthly garden. It was a victory of spirit over environment, a splash of vibrant colour in a world of silver and black that proved the beauty of nature can be carried into the dark. Imagine the smell of fresh lettuce bringing a sudden, overwhelming rush of earthly memories to a crew member who has lived for months in a world of filtered air. After endless meals consisting of processed, shelf-stable ingredients squeezed from plastic pouches, the crisp green scent of a single leaf is enough to transport an astronaut back to a rainy garden. The human olfactory system, often dulled by the fluid shifts and congestion of spaceflight, is suddenly and violently reawakened by the sharp, earthy aroma of living produce. This simple sensory trigger becomes a bridge across millions of miles, linking the high-tech outpost to the rich soil and shifting seasons of the home planet. The crew often finds themselves lingering near the veggie module just to catch a faint whiff of the damp earth and growing green things. It is a reminder that we are creatures of the soil, no matter how far we travel or how many metallic corridors we navigate. This scent is a powerful psychological medicine, healing the homesickness that can settle into the bones during a long-duration mission while acting as a whisper of the biosphere. If we were to look closer at the roots, we would see them wrapping themselves in intricate, swirling spirals as they search for water in the weightless void. Allow your breathing to remain light and easy, noting how your own body finds its own natural alignment even as you remain perfectly still in your chair. On Earth, roots grow downward in a predictable response to the pull of gravity, but here they must navigate a more complex sensory landscape to find sustenance. They follow moisture gradients with a serpentine, haunting grace, curling around the clay pebbles in a dense, tangled web of delicate white fibres. This adaptive behaviour proves that even the most basic biological systems possess a surprising hidden intelligence when stripped of their usual environmental anchors. The roots explore their dark, metallic nursery with a slow-motion curiosity, finding the resources they need despite the total absence of a traditional down. Their intricate woven patterns are a hidden art form, a secret dance of survival performed in the darkness beneath the green leaves, where spiralling structures anchor the dream of a multi-planetary future. They show that life does not need a fixed direction to find its way. It only needs a source of life. Researchers study how these plants adapt their genetics to survive far from their evolutionary home in the deep, heavy dirt of the Earth. The stress of the orbital environment, including higher radiation levels and the lack of gravitational pull, triggers specific genes to switch on and off in a bid for survival. By sequencing the DNA of these space-grown specimens, scientists are uncovering the fundamental hidden blueprints of how life adjusts to the extreme edges of the known universe. These leafy pioneers are teaching us the vital lessons we'll need to one day farm on the dusty plains of Mars or the airless craters of the Moon. They are rewriting the rules of botany, showing that the definition of natural is far more flexible than we ever imagined back on the planetary surface. Surprisingly, microbes from Earth have established a unique, balanced ecosystem within the station walls over the years, mirroring the complexity of the larger plants. Notice the quiet, solid weight of your hands and feet, a gentle reminder of the constant, invisible tether that links you to the living world around you. These invisible passengers have travelled up on every resupply mission and every single crew member, carving out a niche in the recycled air and on the many metallic surfaces. Far from being the sterile environment many imagine, the station is a complex biological landscape where fungi and bacteria evolve alongside their human hosts in a silent mutual dance. Monitoring this microbial community is essential for keeping the station healthy, as these tiny life forms respond to the unique radiation and airflow just as clearly as any human. This microscopic world forms an invisible safety net, a hidden biome that makes the metallic modules feel slightly more like a living part of the biosphere. It is a reminder that we never truly travel alone. We carry our entire biological history with us wherever we go, an invisible garden that follows us into the stars. This tiny ecosystem is a microcosm of the Earth itself, a fragment of the world's ancient vitality persisting in the vacuum. Every harvested leaf is a quiet triumph of life, adapting to the absolute extreme of the cold, dark cosmos. When an astronaut finally tastes a small piece of space-grown kale or cabbage, it is the culmination of decades of engineering and intense botanical research. It is far more than just a fresh snack. It is definitive proof that we can sustain ourselves in a place where nothing was ever meant to live or breathe. This small, crunching act of consumption represents a vital victory for our species, ensuring that as we venture further from our cradle, we take the green, growing heart of Earth with us. The taste of the leaf is sharp and vivid, a concentrated burst of solar energy and human ingenuity that lingers on the tongue long after it is gone. It signals the beginning of a future where we are no longer just visitors in the void, but inhabitants who have learned to tend our own celestial gardens. This quiet success echoes through the modules, a soft green promise that the universe can indeed be made to bloom if we bring our care to it. As the crew shares the small harvest, they are tasting the future, a world where the boundaries of life are limited only by the reach of our hands. Within the reach of these hands, a complex web of machinery quietly filters and recycles almost every drop of moisture on board, transforming the very concept of waste into a life-giving cycle of renewal. Behind the padded walls and metallic panels, a hidden network of tubes and processors works tirelessly to capture the humidity that naturally accumulates in the cabin air. This includes the condensation from an astronaut's breath, the perspiration from their daily exercise, and even the liquid waste that in the terrestrial environment would simply be discarded. every single drop is treated as a priceless treasure, funneled through advanced chemical beds and filtration systems that strip away impurities with molecular precision. The resulting water is so thoroughly purified that it returns to the galley cleaner and more pristine than any liquid found in a natural stream on the homeworld. This relentless reclamation ensures that the station remains a self-sufficient island in the cosmic sea, where the scarcity of resources is countered by the brilliance of human engineering. It is a silent, mechanical heartbeat that sustains the crew through the long months of their mission, proving that even in the vacuum, life can be sustained by a closed and perfect loop. The system operates with a quiet efficiency that mirrors the natural water cycle of the planet below, proving that the most essential element of life can be preserved even in the driest void imaginable. These specialized scrubbers utilize regenerative beds of chemical sorbents that rhythmically trap and then release the carbon molecules, venting the waste to the void or recycling it into other systems. Deep within the life support racks, the rhythmic clicking of valves signifies the continuous struggle to keep the internal atmosphere fresh and breathable for every inhabitant. This process is a marvel of chemistry, operating with a level of reliability that matches the biological lungs of the humans it serves. It ensures that the air remains crisp and clear, allowing the explorers to breathe with the same ease and confidence they would feel in a forest on the homeworld. Without this constant chemical intervention, the very air within the station would quickly become toxic, as the invisible gas would build up in stagnant clouds around a sleeping astronaut's face. Giant gyroscopes spin deep within the station's central truss, silently maintaining its orientation in the void without using a single drop of precious chemical fuel. These massive high-speed flywheels utilize the ancient laws of physics to provide a steady, invisible hand that keeps the outpost perfectly aligned with the curving horizon below. By manipulating the angular momentum of these spinning masses, the station can perform the delicate maneuvers required to keep its solar wings pointed at the sun and its high-gain antennas focused on the ground. This structure remains remarkably stable against the subtle perturbations of the upper atmosphere and the gravitational tug of the planet, gliding through the dark with a composure that belies its incredible speed. Surprisingly, the universe allows for this graceful steering to occur through the pure mechanical force of rotation, sparing the crew from the jarring vibrations of rocket thrusters. It is a testament to the elegance of orbital mechanics, where a set of spinning wheels can guide a massive laboratory through the stars with the precision of a fine watch. Feel the stillness of your own posture, noting the subtle weight of your body as it settles into a state of perfect, effortless alignment with the world around you. The silence of this operation is perhaps its most impressive feature, as the station turns with a ghost-like fluidity that never disturbs the delicate scientific work happening within its walls. This structure generates its own breathable oxygen by splitting water molecules with the raw, electrical energy harvested directly from the nearby star during every sunlit pass. Through the sophisticated process of electrolysis, the liquid that was reclaimed earlier is broken down into its basic elements, releasing life-sustaining gas into the cabin in a continuous stream. This technological alchemy turns the station into a self-repairing lung, creating the very air the crew needs to survive from the recycled building blocks of their own environment. It is a stunning display of functional sustainability, where the intense glare of the sun is converted into the fuel for human respiration. This system operates as a closed-loop biological reactor, mimicking the oxygen-producing capabilities of the forests that cover the continents passing far beneath the modules. By relying on the infinite energy of the sun, the life support system ensures that the crew never has to worry about the thinning of their atmosphere or the exhaustion of their supply. It is a profound realization that the same light that powers the planet's weather also powers the breath of the humans living above it. This continuous generation of life-sustaining gas represents a total independence from the heavy atmosphere of the homeworld, allowing humanity to establish a permanent presence in the void. Notice the constant ambient white noise of the fans, a reassuring mechanical hum that ensures dangerous pockets of carbon dioxide do not form in the stagnant corners of the modules. In the strange and weightless environment of orbit, the natural convection that drives air movement on the ground simply does not exist, meaning that air does not move on its own. Without the steady, artificial push of these ventilation systems, the atmosphere would quickly separate into layers of differing chemistry and temperature, creating invisible traps for the unwary. The fans act as the station's respiratory system, circulating the air in a deliberate pattern that sweeps every corridor and laboratory rack to keep the environment uniform. This persistent, gentle breeze is the music of survival, a sound so ubiquitous that the astronauts eventually stop hearing it, only noticing its absence during rare moments of maintenance. It mimics the natural winds of the home world, ensuring that the breath of life is always moving, never allowing the stillness of the void to settle inside the pressurized sanctuary. This simple mechanical movement is what makes the interior of the station feel like a living, breathing place rather than a cold, airless tomb. By constantly mixing the atmosphere, the fans prevent the formation of toxic bubbles, ensuring that every breath taken by the crew is as fresh and oxygen-rich as the last. Imagine the intricate plumbing system purifying water until it is cleaner than most natural springs found on the surface of the planet, setting a new standard for environmental stewardship. Every drop of moisture that travels through the station's veins undergoes a rigorous multi-stage filtration process that includes high-temperature catalytic oxidation and chemical treatment. This system is so effective that it can take waste that would be considered hazardous on the homeworld and turn it into a liquid that is chemically indistinguishable from pure water. As you listen to the rhythmic cadence of the journey, allow your muscles to release any remaining tension, sinking into the quiet, steady support of your surroundings. If we were to look closer at the galley dispensers, we would see a resource that has been reclaimed and reborn countless times, a perfect cycle of liquid life that follows the crew wherever they go. This level of purity is necessary not just for drinking, but for the delicate scientific experiments and the cooling systems that require water free of any mineral buildup or bacterial growth. It is a humbling thought that the water being consumed in orbit has been engineered to a level of perfection that the natural world rarely achieves on its own. This closed loop is a masterclass in recycling, proving that humanity can carry the most essential element of its biology into the stars without leaving a single drop behind. This heated fluid is then pumped out to massive radiator panels that stretch like white fins into the blackness, where it releases its energy directly into the infinite cold of the vacuum. This structure is a masterpiece of thermal engineering, maintaining a steady, comfortable spring-like climate within the pressurized modules, regardless of the brutal environment just inches away. It is a silent, continuous exchange that ensures the laboratory remains a stable sanctuary for life, protecting the inhabitants from the thermal extremes of the cosmos. Without this tireless circulation of cooling fluid, the station would quickly become uninhabitable, a victim of its own internal energy and the harsh radiation of the sun. The ammonia remains entirely separated from the crew, flowing in a closed loop that wraps the outpost in a protective blanket of thermal stability. Every breath taken by the crew is a testament to the flawless choreography of these hidden systems, which work in perfect, silent unison to preserve a fragment of life in the stars. Behind the scenes, vast numbers of components, valves, pumps, sensors, and chemical beds must all function without error to maintain the delicate balance of the artificial biosphere. This invisible ballet of machinery is what allows the humans to focus on their science and their exploration, trusting that the very air they breathe is being managed with total precision. Surprisingly, the complexity of this task is almost entirely transparent to the inhabitants, who move through their weightless day with the same ease they would feel on the ground. It is a profound accomplishment of human ingenuity, creating a home in a place where existence was never meant to be possible. Each inhalation is a victory over the void, a small but significant confirmation that we have mastered the art of survival in the most hostile environment imaginable. the systems do not just support life, they celebrate it, providing a steady and reliable foundation upon which the future of our species is being built. By simulating the complex interactions of a planetary atmosphere, these machines allow humanity to dwell safely in a place where nature offers no quarter. Deep within the life support racks, these sensors analyze the chemistry of the cabin air numerous times every hour, feeding their data into the central computers for immediate adjustment. This structure is essentially a self-aware organism, constantly checking its own vital signs to ensure that the environment remains optimized for the fragile biological beings inside. It is a layer of digital protection that never sleeps, offering a silent assurance that the air is clean, the pressure is stable, and the balance of life is being maintained. The crew can work with peace of mind, knowing that the station itself is watching over every breath they take with unwavering vigilance. These electronic sentries provide a silent, data-driven security that is just as essential as the metallic walls that hold the vacuum at bay. This infinite loop of preservation and renewal operates in a continuous cycle, mimicking the great patterns of the homeworld's own natural environment on a mechanical scale. This circular logic ensures that every ounce of air and every drop of water is reclaimed, filtered, and returned to the cycle, creating a sustainable existence in the most resource-poor environment ever explored. It is a profound demonstration of our ability to engineer a miniature world that functions with the same resilience and efficiency as the massive biosphere far below. This structure serves as a blueprint for future missions to the distant reaches of the solar system, where the ability to recycle resources with near-perfect efficiency will be the difference between success and failure. The infinite loop is a message of hope, showing that we can carry the essential elements of our home with us into the dark, creating a bridge of life across the silent void. It is a quiet, powerful reminder that humanity is not just a visitor in the cosmos, but a species capable of creating its own sanctuary among the stars. As the systems continue their tireless work, they weave a story of endurance and renewal that will eventually carry us to the furthest reaches of the unknown. The station remains a vibrant, breathing oasis, a small piece of the world that has learned to thrive in the absolute silence of the stars. Within the absolute silence of the stars, the station's inhabitants must find their own anchors to avoid drifting through the dark modules while they rest. Crew members sleep strapped to the walls of their quarters, zipped into specialized bags that are firmly tethered to the interior structure. This prevents them from becoming unintentional satellites during the night, drifting into delicate control panels or floating into the main corridors where they might bump into fellow explorers. Imagine the strange security of being fastened vertically or horizontally, terms that lose all meaning in the weightless void, yet provide a necessary sense of place. Without these restraints, the gentle force of the air circulation system would eventually push a sleeping body against the nearest ventilation intake. Being tethered offers a psychological comfort, a physical connection to reality in a place where the floor and ceiling are entirely interchangeable. Surprisingly, as the mind drifts towards sleep, the body adopts a posture completely alien to those residing on the heavy planetary surface. Their arms naturally float upward into a relaxed, weightless posture, known as the neutral body position, when their muscles finally power down for the night. This is the body's true state of equilibrium, a gentle, effortless crouch that requires no exertion from the tendons or ligaments that are usually strained by gravity. Deep within the quiet sanctuary of the sleeping quarters, many astronauts report experiencing incredibly vivid and colourful dreams that often blur the lines between their current orbital reality and their past lives. These nightly journeys through the subconscious are frequently described as having an intensity and clarity that far exceed anything experienced before leaving the atmosphere. Perhaps the brain, untethered from the familiar sensory inputs of gravity, is free to construct more complex and vibrant internal landscapes. Some dream of walking through heavy grass or feeling the weight of a child in their arms, sensory memories that are physically impossible in their current weightless environment. Others see the Earth not as a distant marble, but as a vast living tapestry that they can touch and breathe. These dreams serve as a vital emotional connection to the world they left behind, a nightly return to the textures and colours of their home. Feel your own weight resting against the surface beneath you, a solid and familiar anchor that guides your own transition toward a deep, peaceful sleep. A personal sleeping cabin is no larger than a phone booth, yet it feels infinitely spacious without the restrictive presence of gravity to dictate how the volume is used. While a terrestrial room of this size would feel cramped and claustrophobic, the weightless environment allows the inhabitant to utilise every cubic inch, from the floor to the ceiling. One can store books on the overhead panel, a computer on the side wall, and still have ample room to hover comfortably in the centre of the space. This three-dimensional freedom transforms a tiny compartment into a vast private universe, where the physical boundaries seem to melt away. The lack of a floor means that the entire interior is functional, providing a sense of openness that contradicts its actual dimensions. It is a masterclass in spatial efficiency, a compact sanctuary that feels as broad as the horizon it orbits. Shutting a small sliding door blocks out the constant station noise and the ever-present activity of the modules, creating a tiny private sanctuary in the middle of the cosmos. For a crew member living in close proximity to others for months at a time, this meagre square footage represents their only truly personal space in the entire universe. Inside this cocoon, the hum of the laboratory and the voices of crewmates are muffled, allowing for a rare and precious moment of absolute solitude. The walls are often lined with personal items, a small gallery of memories that turn the metallic box into a home. It is here that an astronaut can read, write, or simply stare into the darkness and process the overwhelming reality of their mission. This architectural boundary is essential for maintaining psychological health, a quiet retreat where the demands of the mission can be left at the threshold. It is a site that evokes the imagery of kelp moving in an underwater current, or a cradle being pushed by a phantom hand. This gentle motion is a soothing, physical manifestation of the station's own mechanical life, a constant reminder that the machine is looking after its inhabitants. The swaying is a peaceful communion between the biological and the technological, a dance of air and mass performed in the dark. Notice the rhythm of your own breath, as steady and reassuring as the quiet currents of air that cradle the sleepers in their orbital home. Notice the soft, spectral hum of personal laptops serving as modern-day nightlights, their screens often displaying a rotating gallery of family photos from millions of miles away. In the dim light of the sleeping quarters, these glowing images of green forests, blue oceans, and smiling faces provide a warm digital hearth. The soft light spills onto the sleeping bags, illuminating the tiny cabins with the colours of a world that is physically unreachable but emotionally ever-present. These screens are a vital tether, a window back to the lives and loved ones that continue to move and breathe on the surface below. For an astronaut, falling asleep to the sight of a spouse, a child, or a pet is a way to bridge the immense distance of the void. The technology that enables their mission also provides the comfort they need to sustain it, turning a cold, electronic glow into a source of profound human warmth. Some astronauts choose to sleep near a window, letting the reflected glow of the Earth serve as a silent, majestic nightlight that changes every few minutes. As the station orbits at 5 miles per second, the light pouring into the cabin shifts from the brilliant teal of a coral reef to the deep velvet black of the open ocean. This cosmic lantern provides a rhythmic 90-minute cycle of illumination that bathes the sleeper in the ancient colours of their home planet. Imagine the profound peace of drifting off as the lights of 1,000 cities crawl across your face like a golden web. The Earth is a constant, glowing companion, its presence a reassurance that even in the vastness of space, we are never truly alone. This light is more than just a visual stimulus. It is a physical connection to the biosphere, a gentle reminder of the world that waits for the crew's eventual return. The astronaut must consciously decide which way is up for the day, choosing a wall or a bulkhead to serve as their temporary horizon. This daily act of spatial recalibration is a reminder of the sheer strangeness of their environment, a place where the most basic physical certainties are suspended. Once the mind catches up with the body, the ease of movement returns, and the explorer glides out of their bag to begin another 90-minute day. Allow your body to sink even deeper into its resting place, feeling the profound security of the ground that remains forever steady beneath you. This structure of sleeping in microgravity eliminates every pressure point on the human frame, providing a rest more profound and restorative than any bed on the surface of the Earth. On the planet, the weight of the body constantly compresses the skin, muscles and bones against the mattress, requiring us to toss and turn throughout the night to maintain circulation. In orbit, every joint is perfectly suspended, every muscle is completely slack, and the blood flows with an ease that is impossible under the burden of gravity. Astronauts often describe the sensation as being perfectly cradled by the air itself, a state of total physical liberation that allows for a deeper level of sleep. The absence of weight means that the heart does not have to work as hard to pump blood to the extremities, leading to a unique physiological stillness. It is the ultimate form of physical recovery, a nightly journey into a state of rest that humans were never evolved to experience, yet find completely transformative. This transformative stillness extends beyond the biology of the sleepers and into the very heart of combustion itself, revealing a side of nature that remains hidden on the heavy ground. On the earthly surface, fire is a chaotic, flickering dance driven by the rising of hot air, but in the microgravity of the station, flames settle into perfect, unearthly blue domes. Without the force of buoyancy to pull the heated gases upward, the fire becomes a steady, spherical ghost that breathes oxygen from all sides simultaneously. As the station glides through the void, these blue orbs burn with a serene, low-intensity light, looking more like small, captured stars than destructive terrestrial blazes. Researchers watch these silent spheres with a sense of wonder, as they reveal the fundamental chemistry of oxidation without the turbulence of gravity-driven convection. It is a visual manifestation of a universe operating in its most basic, undisturbed state, where fire finds a symmetry that is physically impossible to achieve under the heavy pull of the homeworld. It burns with a mesmerizing, ghostly calm, providing scientists with the data needed to develop cleaner and more efficient engines for use back on the planet's surface. By stripping away the flickering noise of the atmosphere, we can finally witness the pure mathematical elegance of a chemical reaction. This orbital fire serves as a quiet beacon of scientific clarity, glowing softly in the dark laboratory nodes. Surprisingly, the universe reveals a hidden patience when the constant stirring of gravity is removed from the equation of fluid movement. In this weightless environment, liquids do not mix through the rapid churning currents we see in a cup of coffee, but through a slow and mesmerizing process called diffusion. Without convection to stir the layers, molecules must find each other one by one, drifting across the liquid landscape with a deliberate hypnotic pace that can last for hours or even days. Molecules move with a staggering quiet grace, allowing for the observation of subtle interactions that are usually drowned out by the chaos of weight-driven motion. This absolute lack of convection provides scientists with a unique window into the molecular world, where the fundamental laws of fluid dynamics are stripped of the noise that usually masks them. It is as if the liquids have entered a state of profound meditation, allowing their internal structures to align with a precision that seems almost supernatural. It is a process that requires a total surrender to the slow rhythms of the cosmos, where the rush of the world below is replaced by molecular drift. Each experiment in fluid mixing becomes a study in stillness, a silent exploration of the microscopic bonds that hold the material world together. This orbital patience is what allows for the creation of new substances and medicines that could never exist in the turbulent environment of our birth. This molecular tranquility allows protein crystals grown in orbit to reach a level of geometric perfection and size that is completely unattainable in terrestrial laboratories. On the ground, the constant invisible vibration of gravity-driven convection currents disrupts the delicate growth of these biological structures, often leading to microscopic flaws and irregularities. Here, however, the molecules can settle into their lattice structures with a gentle, undisturbed precision, forming incredibly large and flawless crystals that resemble shimmering alien jewels. Here, the crystals act as high-definition maps for medical researchers, revealing the intricate three-dimensional shapes of proteins that are essential for developing new medicines. These massive specimens are like architectural blueprints of life, providing a level of detail that allows scientists to design drugs that fit into the body's machinery with surgical accuracy. It is a slow and beautiful growth that occurs in the absolute quiet of the microgravity modules, far from the jarring rhythms of the planet. Notice the quiet, solid weight of your own hands and feet, a gentle reminder of the constant, invisible tether that links you to the living world around you. By studying these perfect orbital structures, we gain insights into the very building blocks of life that are otherwise hidden by the chaotic environment of the surface. This crystalline perfection is a gift of the void, a testament to what life can build when it is freed from the burden of its own weight. Imagine watching a single, shimmering droplet of water trap an air bubble perfectly in its geometric center, creating a suspended glass marble of liquid and gas. In this realm of weightless physics, the bubble does not rush to the surface to escape. Instead, it remains anchored in place by the balanced forces of surface tension and internal pressure. The two elements coexist in a state of tranquil symmetry, forming a tiny, self-contained world that wobbles with the slightest vibration of the station's fans. The two elements form a striking demonstration of how matter behaves when it is no longer forced to conform to the rules of up and down. The bubble remains a perfect silver sphere within its aqueous host, reflecting the laboratory lights in a complex and beautiful dance of optics. It is a small, quiet wonder that highlights the incredible hidden flexibility of the materials we take for granted in our daily lives, showing that even a breath of air can find its own place in the dark. It is a visual representation of the station's mission, where different elements are brought together and held in a delicate, peaceful balance. This liquid marble is a momentary masterpiece of physics, a fragile jewel of water and air that exists only in the heart of the orbital laboratory. It reminds us that even in the most alien environments, nature seeks out a state of harmony and geometric rest. This structure also contains specialized chambers where the force of gravity can be selectively reintroduced through the quiet, rhythmic hum of a centrifuge. Inside these rotating carousels, tiny seeds and biological samples are spun at precise speeds to simulate the lower gravitational pull of the red planet. This allows researchers to observe how terrestrial life might one day adapt to a permanent home on a different world, providing a vital bridge between the Earth and the distant reaches of the solar system. The centrifuge creates a localized mechanical substitute for the planet's pull, a spinning island of weight within the larger weightless sea of the station. This selective gravity is a crucial tool for understanding the threshold of biological sensation, discovering the exact point where a plant begins to recognize its direction. It is a controlled, mechanical experiment in orientation, allowing us to map out the future of human habitation among the stars. Notice the rhythm of your own breath, as steady and reassuring as the quiet currents of air that cradle the sleepers in their orbital home. By adjusting the rate of rotation, scientists can explore the fundamental relationship between life and gravity, uncovering the secrets of our own evolutionary history. This rotating laboratory is a compass for our future, guiding us toward the day when we will sow the first gardens on distant, dusty plains. Deep within the heart of the various laboratory modules, the station serves as a sanctuary where the fundamental rules of physics are finally stripped of gravity's heavy mask. For centuries, our understanding of the universe has been filtered through the experience of living at the bottom of a deep gravitational well, which obscures many of the more subtle interactions between matter and energy. Here, researchers can observe physical phenomena in their purest form, witnessing the delicate interplay of forces that are usually overwhelmed by the massive pull of the planet. This environment allows for the testing of theories that require a level of precision and stillness that can only be found in the perpetual freefall of orbit. It is a profound investigative tool, a place where the basic fabric of reality is laid bare for human observation and study, away from the noise of the atmosphere. Each discovery made in this weightless sanctuary helps to refine our model of the cosmos, providing a clearer view of the mechanics that govern everything from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. The station becomes a bridge to a deeper truth, a place where the universe can speak to us in its original, undistorted language. In this silence, we find the answers to questions we didn't even know how to ask on the ground. It is the ultimate laboratory of the mind, where the limitations of the world are traded for the infinite possibilities of the void. If we were to look closer through the eyepieces of the station's advanced microscopes, we would discover that human cells behave in startlingly different ways when the weight of the world is lifted. Without the constant mechanical stress of gravity to shape them, cells often grow into complex three-dimensional structures that more closely resemble how they exist inside a living body. This allows for more accurate research into how diseases progress and how the body's own immune system responds to external threats in a pristine, weightless environment. Surprisingly, some types of cells appear to communicate more effectively or reorganize their internal structures with a speed and efficiency that is not seen on the ground. These observations provide a vital foundation for the future of space medicine, ensuring that we can keep future explorers healthy on journeys that take them far beyond the homeworld. The cells themselves seem to experience a kind of liberation, revealing hidden biological pathways that are suppressed by the constant pressure of a planetary surface. Let your body sink even deeper into its resting place, feeling the profound security of the ground that remains forever steady beneath you. This cellular discovery is a reminder that we are still learning the true potential of our own biology. By removing the weight of our environment, we are beginning to see the true architecture of our existence. Materials melted in the vacuum form incredibly pure alloys, untainted by the containers that normally hold them, thanks to the station's specialized containerless processing facilities. In these high-tech furnaces, samples are held in place by magnetic or acoustic fields, allowing them to be heated and cooled without ever touching a solid surface. This eliminates the risk of chemical contamination from a crucible, resulting in metals and glasses with a molecular uniformity that is fundamentally impossible to achieve on the surface of a planet. The liquid metal hovers as a glowing, shivering orb, cooling slowly and evenly in the weightless void until it solidifies into a perfect, flawless specimen. These orbital alloys offer a glimpse into a future where specialized manufacturing in space could provide the high-performance materials needed for the next generation of electronics and aerospace engineering. It is a silent, high-tech alchemy performed in the dark, where the absence of weight allows for a level of material perfection that was previously only a theoretical dream. In the coldest corner of the station, specialized lasers and magnetic traps are used to create bose-einstein condensates, pushing matter to temperatures just a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. At these extreme limits, the atoms lose their individual identities and merge into a single, unified quantum wave, creating the coldest known spot in the entire universe. The microgravity environment allows these fragile clouds of atoms to be observed for much longer periods than on Earth, where gravity would quickly pull them out of the traps and disrupt the delicate experiment. This provides a unique laboratory for exploring the strange and counterintuitive rules of quantum mechanics on a scale that can be directly measured by human instruments. It is a place of ultimate stillness, where the frantic motion of the atomic world is slowed to a near halt, revealing the deeper secrets of how energy and matter are intertwined. The station thus becomes a beacon of scientific extreme, a tiny, pressurized outpost holding the ultimate cold against the background radiation of the cosmos. Watching these quantum clouds is like looking into the very heart of reality, where the boundaries of time and space seem to soften and dissolve. This ultimate cold is a tool for the future, a way to build sensors and computers that are more powerful than anything we can currently imagine. It is a quiet triumph of the mind over the fundamental heat of the stars. Every quiet experiment performed in this weightless sanctuary adds a tiny, essential piece to our collective understanding of the universe's most hidden and subtle mechanics. From the way fire burns to the way life organizes its most basic structures, the station provides a perspective that is fundamentally different from anything possible on the planet below. This continuous pursuit of knowledge is a testament to the human desire to see past the obvious and explore the underlying architecture of reality, even in the most extreme conditions. Each data point gathered in the silence of the laboratories contributes to a legacy of discovery that will benefit humanity for generations to come, far beyond the lifespan of the station itself. It is a slow and deliberate journey toward a more complete picture of our place in the cosmos, conducted in a laboratory that never stops falling toward the horizon. By stripping away the noise of gravity, we are finally learning to listen to the quiet, elegant signals that the universe has been sending all along. Notice the rhythm of your own breath, as steady and reassuring as the quiet currents of air that cradle the sleepers in their orbital home. The station remains a vibrant, breathing oasis of thought, a small piece of the world that has learned to find its own stillness among the stars. In this laboratory of the void, we are not just measuring the universe, we are learning how to become part of it. To become part of it is to enter a linguistic tapestry, where the rigid boundaries of geography are replaced by a fluid, hybridized dialect born of the stars. At any given moment, the communication loops of the station hum with a quiet, technical murmuring where Russian, English, Japanese, and various European tongues blend into a seamless stream of technical and social exchange. This polyglot chorus flows through the modules like a steady current, bridging the cultural distances that once seemed insurmountable on the ground, and creating a specialized vocabulary of the void. Astronauts find themselves naturally adopting phrases and idioms from their colleagues' native lands, weaving a rich and diverse verbal texture that reflects their shared journey. This linguistic fusion is more than just a means of relaying data. It is a manifestation of a new orbital culture that values collaboration over division. Within this auditory landscape, the sounds of humanity's most prominent civilizations are harmonized into a single, peaceful frequency that resonates through every laboratory node. This auditory synthesis serves as a constant reminder that the outpost is a microcosm of the entire world, a place where diversity is not a barrier, but a profound source of collective strength. The quiet murmurs over the headsets create a sense of belonging to a global family, a group of explorers who have transcended the limits of their individual origins. It is the sound of a species finally learning to speak with one voice in the face of the infinite dark. This cosmic structure represents an unprecedented triumph of international cooperation and engineering, where massive laboratory modules built on opposite sides of the planet finally met in the silent, airless vacuum. Despite being manufactured thousands of miles apart by different teams of engineers using distinct tools and measuring systems, these multi-ton components fit together with sub-millimeter precision upon their first encounter in orbit. It is a staggering testament to a shared mathematical language that transcends borders, allowing disparate pieces of human ambition to lock into a single, unified whole. The docking ports and berthing mechanisms serve as the literal and metaphorical joints of this global machine, holding the pressurized sanctuary together against the vacuum of the cosmos. Imagine the level of trust required to launch a billion-dollar laboratory, knowing that its survival depends entirely on the accuracy of a counterpart constructed half a world away. This flawless intersection of international craft remains one of the most significant technical achievements of our age, proving that human ingenuity can bridge any distance. Each module carries the architectural signature of its country of origin, yet together they form a seamless and coherent architecture of survival that ignores the boundaries of the planet below. This physical unity reflects the deep-seated desire to reach beyond the known, creating a solid foundation for the future of human exploration. The station is a mosaic of international dreams, meticulously assembled in the quiet, weightless heart of the exosphere. Surprisingly, the universe allows for a state of perpetual human vigilance that spans the entire globe to keep this fragile vessel safe and functional throughout its 16 daily sunsets. Mission control centers in Houston, Moscow, Tsukuba, and Munich hand off responsibility in a continuous 24-hour relay, ensuring the station is never without a watchful eye from the surface. This global network of guardians operates in a state of constant rhythmic synchronization, coordinating every breath, every experiment, and every complex maneuver across every time zone of the homeworld. This invisible chain of support is the lifeblood of the mission, a global conversation that never stops even as the people on the ground sleep and wake in their respective countries. The handover of command from one flight director to the next is a quiet, professional ritual that marks the passing of a terrestrial day in the orbital timeline. It represents a level of operational harmony that is rarely seen in any other field of human endeavour, turning the entire planet into a single, supportive base for the explorers in the stars. While the crew floats in their weightless modules, they are never truly alone, held in the steady gaze of thousands of dedicated professionals on the ground. This planetary relay is a powerful demonstration of how the world can unite behind a common goal, setting aside differences to ensure the safety of a few representatives in the void. It is the ultimate manifestation of human solidarity, a global network of care that stretches from the control rooms of the Earth to the high-tech sanctuary of the station. Deep within the galley, the ritual of dining becomes a vibrant international culinary exchange as crew members freely trade their favourite dishes from their diverse homelands. A Russian borscht or tinned meat might be swapped for a Japanese seafood curry or a packet of American smoked salmon, turning the shared table into a crossroads of global flavours and traditions. This simple act of sharing sustenance fosters a deep cultural empathy that strengthens the human bonds of the crew far more than any official treaty or diplomatic agreement. As you listen to the descriptions of these shared feasts, allow your own body to sink into a state of deep restorative rest, feeling the steady support of the world beneath you. The galley remains the social heart of the outpost, a place where the technical demands of the mission are briefly set aside in favour of camaraderie and storytelling. To share a meal in orbit is to share a piece of one's history, bringing the tastes and memories of a distant home to the clinical environment of the laboratory. The variety of food on board is a testament to the diverse cultures that have contributed to the station's success, creating a menu as broad as the world itself. This culinary patchwork is a daily celebration of our species' richness, proving that even in the most extreme conditions, we seek out the comfort of shared flavours and shared experiences. The international menu is a quiet victory of tradition over the isolation of space, ensuring that the crew remains connected to the vibrant life of their home world. Notice the steady, rhythmic rise and fall of your own breath, a peaceful cadence that aligns with the quiet, unified spirit of the inhabitants floating far above the atmosphere. Imagine small, festive decorations from a dozen different nations floating softly against the metallic walls during orbital celebrations of the New Year, the winter solstice, or the spring festivals. Tiny paper cranes, colourful banners, and traditional ornaments drift in the ambient airflow, turning the clinical, high-tech laboratory into a warm and festive patchwork of human tradition. These orbiting symbols of home remind the explorers that they carry the spirit of the entire human family with them as they circle the dark together in their metallic sanctuary. Each holiday celebrated in orbit is a moment of profound reflection, a chance to honour the diverse heritages that have made the journey to the stars possible. The decorations are fragile, weightless tributes to the resilience of human culture, proving that joy and tradition can thrive even in the most sterile and distant environments. Watching a small, festive light or a paper ornament hover in the centre of a module brings a sense of normalcy and warmth to the high-stakes world of spaceflight. It is a reminder that the station is not just a laboratory, but a home where the milestones of human life are still marked with care and enthusiasm. These celebrations are a beacon of humanity in the void, a way to keep the spirit of the planet alive during the long months of the mission. Surprisingly, the geopolitical tensions that might fracture the world below dissolve entirely at the airlock hatch, replaced by the immediate shared necessity of survival in a fundamentally hostile environment. Inside the pressurized modules, the conflicts of nations seem like distant, microscopic echoes that have no place within these life-sustaining walls. The crew members understand that their safety depends entirely on their ability to work as a unified team, regardless of the political climate on the surface of the planet. In the face of the infinite void, the disagreements of history are traded for the practicalities of maintaining a complex and fragile machine that holds the vacuum at bay. This orbital sanctuary provides a model for how the world might one day function, a place where cooperation is the only logical path forward, and where our shared humanity is the ultimate priority. The station remains a neutral ground, a high-tech oasis of peace that stands as a contrast to the often turbulent world it orbits. This dissolution of boundaries is a profound psychological shift for those who live on board, forever changing their perception of national identity and global conflict. They see the Earth as a single, interconnected system, a fragile blue marble that requires a unified effort to protect and sustain. The peace found on the station is not just an absence of conflict, but a proactive and deep-seated commitment to mutual support and collective success. The patches sewn onto their flight suits represent a dozen different flags and numerous national space agencies, yet the individuals wearing them function as a single, unified family. This brotherhood and sisterhood of the stars is forged in the fires of shared risk and the daily awe of the orbital perspective, completely transcending the superficial divisions of nationality. They are no longer just representatives of their governments, but citizens of a much larger, more fragile domain that encompasses all of humanity and its shared future. Let your muscles release any remaining tension, imagining your body becoming as light and relaxed as an explorer drifting through the silent corridors of the station. This unified identity is essential for the high-stakes work of maintaining the outpost, where every task requires a high degree of trust and seamless communication. The crew members become each other's primary support system, forming bonds that are often stronger than those they have with people on the ground. This orbital family is a testament to our capacity for empathy and cooperation, showing that we can find common ground even in the most alien of environments. The different flags on their sleeves serve as a reminder of where they came from, but their unified actions define where they're going as a species. They are the pioneers of a new way of living, showing that our greatest strength is found in our ability to work together as a single global community. If we were to look closer at their daily life, we would find a crew bound together by the most fundamental and inescapable elements of their existence. They share the same recycled air, the same spectacular views of the blue marble, and the same profound isolation from the rest of humanity for months on end. This shared intimacy creates a unique psychological landscape where the success and well-being of one person is inextricably linked to the safety and health of the entire group. This profound togetherness is what allows them to endure the challenges of long-duration spaceflight, turning a potentially alienating experience into a journey of shared discovery. The station is a crucible of human connection, where the essential elements of our biology and our spirit are brought into sharp, clear focus. It is a place where we learn what it truly means to be human and what we are capable of when we face the unknown as a unified whole. Music from various cultures echoes through the nodes of the station, a melodic reminder of the diverse planet rotating rapidly beneath the station's keel like a shimmering jewel. A classical piano piece from Europe might mingle with the traditional strings of a Japanese koto, or the rhythmic, pulsing beats of modern electronic music from a distant, glowing city. These sounds are more than just background noise. They are a sonic bridge to the cultures and histories that continue to evolve on the surface, keeping the crew anchored to the vibrant humanity they represent. Notice how the melodies seem to hang in the recycled air, adding a layer of emotional texture to the clinical and high-tech environment of the laboratory. For an astronaut, listening to the music of their homeland while watching their country pass beneath them is a powerful and moving experience. It is a way to bridge the immense distance of the void, bringing a piece of the world's artistic heritage to the highest point of human exploration. This auditory tapestry is a daily celebration of the world's creative spirit, proving that art and beauty are essential components of our survival in the stars. The music serves as a constant reminder that we are not just creatures of logic and engineering, but beings of emotion and artistic expression. It is the soundtrack of our journey into the unknown, a diverse and beautiful chorus that echoes the richness of the planet we call home. This fragile alliance in the stars stands as one of humanity's most peaceful and enduring achievements, a beacon of cooperation in an often divided and chaotic world. For over a quarter of a century, the station has remained a sanctuary of shared knowledge and collaborative effort, proving that the stars are big enough to hold the dreams of every nation. It is a legacy that will endure long after the station has returned to the atmosphere, a quiet promise that our greatest strengths are found when we work together in the silence of the dark. This structure is a living laboratory of peace, showing that the challenges of the future can be met with unity and mutual respect rather than conflict and competition. It has hosted explorers from dozens of different countries, creating a global community that has pushed the boundaries of human knowledge and capability. The station is a monument to what we can achieve when we set aside our differences and reach for the stars as a single, unified species. As the outpost continues its silent journey around the world, it carries with it the hope of a future where all of humanity can live and work together in harmony. This enduring achievement is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and our capacity for profound international cooperation. It is a story of success that will continue to inspire generations of explorers, a quiet, glowing reminder of the peaceful world we're building among the stars. Building among the stars requires leaving the pressurized safety of the laboratory and stepping directly into the terrifying, beautiful silence of the exosphere. Stepping out of the airlock places an astronaut into the vast, soundless expanse of the universe, where the only thing separating life from the void is a few thin layers of engineered fabric. Without the medium of air to carry vibrations, the cosmos is a realm of absolute acoustic stillness, a silence so profound it feels physically heavy against the chest. The transition is a jarring shift from the familiar mechanical hum of station machinery to a world where even the most violent movements occur in a ghostly, soundless vacuum. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated exposure to the true nature of the universe, a vast and indifferent reality that stretches in every direction. The explorer becomes a tiny, solitary point of consciousness floating in an infinite sea of blackness, anchored only by a thin nylon tether to the station's hull. This initial exit is a rite of passage, a final departure from the comforts of an enclosed environment into the raw majesty of the celestial stage. Every movement must be deliberate and measured, as the absence of weight and sound creates a sensory landscape that the human brain was never evolved to navigate. Floating in this soundless void, the astronaut becomes a temporary inhabitant of the silence, a silent witness to the ancient and unblinking stars. If we were to look closer at the equipment worn during these ventures, we would see that a spacesuit is essentially a personalized human-shaped spacecraft, holding in the pressure of life. This complex machine provides a private atmosphere, thermal regulation, and a constant communication link within its multi-layered pressurized skin. It is a masterpiece of miniaturized engineering, designed to mimic the essential functions of a massive station, while remaining flexible enough for a human to move and work. Every seam and valve is a critical failure point, yet they operate in silent harmony to keep the inhabitants safe from the lethal vacuum just inches away. The suit acts as a portable sanctuary, a mobile fragment of the home planet that allows a person to exist where existence is biologically impossible. Inside this rigid cocoon, the astronaut is entirely self-sufficient, carrying their own oxygen and cooling water through a labyrinth of internal tubing. It is a second skin of aluminum and Kevlar, a technological barrier that preserves the delicate warmth of biology against the frozen reaches of the stars. This individual vessel is the ultimate expression of human resilience, a tiny bubble of air and intention drifting through the soundless dark. Even as the station orbits at 5 miles per second, the suit maintains a steady internal peace, protecting the fragile life within from the harsh radiation and vacuum of the void. Deep within the protocol of these orbital excursions, every piece of equipment is treated with a level of care that borders on the sacred. Tools are tethered with meticulous precision, as a dropped wrench would not fall, but would instead become an eternal satellite of the sun. Because the station and everything around it are moving at 17,000 miles per hour, any object that is accidentally released begins its own independent orbit. It would drift slowly away, a tiny metallic monument to human presence, potentially circling the planet for centuries before finally succumbing to atmospheric drag. Notice the steady rhythm of your own pulse, a calm and grounded anchor that connects you to the solid reality of your current surroundings. This awareness of orbital mechanics turns a simple mechanical task into a high-stakes ballet, where every grip must be verified and every movement must be secured. The tethers are a lifeline for the mission's progress, ensuring that the work remains focused and the tools remain within reach of the explorer's hands. Losing even a small bolt could have catastrophic consequences for future satellites, making every fastener a responsibility to the future of the orbital environment. It is a quiet, disciplined struggle to maintain order in a place where the simplest laws of gravity have been suspended. Each secured tool is a small victory for human organization against the chaotic potential of the infinite expanse. This structure of survival must also contend with the brutal reality of thermal extremes that occur as the station passes in and out of the planet's shadow. The temperature swings wildly by hundreds of degrees between the blinding sunlight and the absolute velvet blackness of the station's own shadow. In the unfiltered glare of the sun, the exterior of the suit can bake in temperatures exceeding 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This intense heat can plunge into minus 250 degrees just minutes later as the station enters the night side of the planet. These rapid shifts are managed by an intricate system of liquid-cooled undergarments that circulate water over the astronaut's skin like an artificial circulatory system. The suit must be a perfect insulator, reflecting the intense solar radiation while holding in the precious body heat needed to survive the absolute cold of the dark. It is a constant battle for equilibrium, where the mechanical systems must anticipate the orbital timeline to prevent the occupant from either boiling or freezing. The physical experience of these transitions is a stark reminder of the station's velocity and the unforgiving nature of the environment outside the glass. Every 90 minutes the cycle repeats, a rhythmic trial of fire and ice that defines the life of an orbital worker in the vacuum. Surprisingly, the most intimate aspect of a spacewalk is not the vastness of the view, but the profound quiet that settles inside the helmet. This silence is interrupted only by the rhythmic sound of your own breathing and the steady, reassuring thrum of your own heartbeat echoing against the glass. The external universe remains a soundless pantomime, but the internal world of the suit is alive with the noises of a human being striving to survive. The hum of the suit's fans and the occasional crackle of the radio provide the only other auditory textures in this small, pressurized universe. This isolation creates a state of intense, inward focus, where every breath is a conscious confirmation of one's own continued existence in the void. It is a meditative, almost womb-like experience, where the boundary between the self and the cosmos is reduced to a single layer of transparent polycarbonate. The sounds of your own biology become a familiar and comforting melody, a sonic anchor in a place where no other noise can reach. Within this acoustic sanctuary, the explorer finds a strange and beautiful peace, a quiet communion with the self that is impossible on the bustling station. It is a sanctuary of self-awareness, a place where the heart and lungs speak louder than the infinite silence of the stars. The vastness of the water, dotted with the white swirls of weather systems, is a moving tapestry that never stays still for a single moment. Feel the heavy, reliable weight of your feet resting on the ground, a steady and familiar anchor that holds you safely in place. This perspective turns the planet into a massive rotating sculpture, a living globe that seems both infinitely large and incredibly fragile as it glides beneath your feet. Beyond the glare of the illuminated station, the Milky Way shines with an unfiltered brilliance that is impossible to witness from any point on the earthly surface. This tapestry of ancient light is untouched by the blurring effects of the atmosphere, appearing as a dense, glowing river of silver and gold that stretches across the obsidian sky. Each star is a sharp, unblinking needle of light, revealing the true depth and complexity of our home galaxy in a way that feels overwhelmingly intimate. Without the interference of air and light pollution, the cosmos reveals its ancient, crowded architecture, a billion suns burning in the absolute dark. This visual clarity allows the eye to perceive the dark nebulae and the subtle gradients of galactic dust that are normally hidden from our view. The explorer feels as though they are floating inside a giant cosmic jewel box, surrounded by the primordial fires of the universe itself. It is a sight that commands a total, silent reverence, a visual symphony of light that has been travelling for millennia just to reach this orbital vantage point. Within this radiant expanse, the station itself seems like a tiny, insignificant spark, a temporary visitor in an eternal and glowing house. The brilliance of the stars is a reminder of the vast timeline of the universe, a silent story of light that predates the very planet passing below. If we were to look closer at the movements of a spacewalker, we would see that hours of exhausting physical labour are performed primarily with only the fingertips and carefully rehearsed motions. Because the suit is pressurized, every flex of a finger or grip of a hand requires fighting against the internal air pressure that wants to keep the gloves stiff. This creates a relentless, low-level strain that can lead to debilitating fatigue and bruised fingernails after a typical 6-hour excursion. Every turn of a bolt or placement of a panel is a slow-motion struggle, a dance of precision and endurance that demands total mental and physical concentration. The astronaut must learn to move their entire body as a single unit, using the momentum of their mass to assist in tasks that would be simple on the ground. This physical toll is hidden behind the grace of their movements, a quiet battle between the human frame and the rigid technology of the suit. Despite the exhaustion, the work proceeds with a clinical, unhurried pace, as any mistake could have permanent consequences for the station's structural health. It is a grueling, tactical exercise in persistence, a testament to the incredible dedication of those who maintain this orbital sanctuary. The fingertips become the primary interface with the universe, a thin and vulnerable connection that carries the weight of human ambition among the stars. Surprisingly, returning to the airlock brings a sensory surprise as the distinct metallic smell of space is found clinging to the outside of the suits. Many explorers describe this scent as a peculiar mix of seared steak, hot metal, and the sharp, ozone-like aroma of welding fumes. This chemical signature is likely the result of high-energy atomic oxygen particles reacting with the various materials of the suit and tools during the long hours of exposure. It is a smell that exists nowhere else on the planet, a unique olfactory souvenir of the vacuum that fills the airlock as it is repressurized. Let the tension drain from your jaw and shoulders, allowing your senses to rest in the familiar, neutral environment of your own space. This alien aroma serves as a physical proof of the journey, a lingering ghost of the void that persists even after the hatch is sealed. It is a sharp and metallic reminder of the absolute edge of existence, a scent that marks the transition from the cosmic to the terrestrial. For the crew, this smell is a sign of a successful mission, a sensory welcoming party that signals their safe return from the soundless dark. The odour of the stars is a tangible bridge between the impossible vacuum and the breathing sanctuary of the laboratory. Closing the outer hatch feels like returning from the absolute edge of existence to a warm, brightly lit home filled with the sounds of life. This final mechanical seal marks the end of a period of total exposure, where the mind was focused entirely on the thin barrier between the self and the void. Stepping back into the pressurized modules, the familiar hum of the station's life support and the voices of colleagues provide an immediate and overwhelming sense of psychological relief. The station, once a clinical laboratory, is transformed into a cozy sanctuary, a place where the rules of biology and society are restored. This transition is a profound psychological release, a return from the sublime and terrifying heights of the spacewalk to the comfortable routines of orbital living. The explorer can finally shed the heavy skin of the suit, feeling the air move across their face for the first time in many hours. It is a moment of deep and quiet celebration, a homecoming performed hundreds of miles above the world that birthed our species. The hatch is more than just a door. It is the boundary between the infinite unknown and the enduring warmth of the human spirit. Within the station walls, the explorer is no longer a solitary point in the void, but a member of a breathing, thriving family in the stars. Within this breathing, thriving family in the stars, the very nature of time begins to stretch and warp, dictated by the staggering velocity of the station's flight. This structure travels at a relentless 5 miles per second, a speed that would carry a traveller across the entire North American continent in less than 10 minutes. Because of this velocity, the outpost completes a full circumnavigation of the globe every 90 minutes, weaving a tight invisible thread around the planet. If we were to look closer, we would see that this is not just a figure on a digital display, but a reality where the geography of the world is compressed into a rapid, scrolling panorama. Massive oceans are crossed in the span of a single conversation, and mountain ranges that once took generations to map vanish into the rear horizon in mere seconds. This extreme speed creates a profound detachment from the grounded world, turning the massive continents into mere features of a globe that is being spun by an unseen hand. The station exists in a realm of high-speed grace, where the physical distance between any 2 points on the surface is bridged by a few minutes of silent, weightless travel. This velocity is the heartbeat of the mission, a constant and necessary pace that maintains the equilibrium of the orbit. It is a pace that allows the crew to witness the entirety of human existence over and over again, reinforcing the sense of being part of a single, unified world. Surprisingly, the universe demands a physical price for this incredible speed, manifesting in the strange and beautiful mathematics of time dilation, as predicted by the laws of relativity. The faster an object moves through space, the slower time passes for those inside it, compared to those remaining stationary on the heavy ground below. This means that for every moment spent in this high-speed laboratory, the ticking of the internal clocks falls slightly out of sync with the clocks of the world. Consequently, after a mission spanning 6 months, astronauts return to the surface having aged several milliseconds less than their loved ones who stayed behind. It is a tiny but measurable gift from the cosmos, a literal stretching of a human life achieved through the sheer effort of orbital flight. This temporal drift is a silent reminder that the crew is living in a slightly different reality, a place where the fundamental rules of physics have been subtly altered. The explorers become time travelers in the most literal sense, returning to a future that is infinitesimally further ahead than the one they would have inhabited on the ground. This realization adds a layer of quiet wonder to the mission, knowing that their journey into space is also a journey into the mechanics of time itself. It is a profound and subtle connection to the deepest laws of the universe, a silent signature of Einstein's legacy written into their very cells. A mission of 6 months eventually feels like a quiet and predictable routine to the crew, yet the world they watch through the glass undergoes a total seasonal transformation during their absence. While the astronauts inhabit a climate-controlled environment, where the air is always a steady spring, they witness the white blankets of winter retreat from the northern hemisphere. From their vantage point, they see the planet breathe, watching the vibrant greens of summer climb the continents and the golden hues of autumn wash over the vast forests. This visual record of the passing months is far more vivid than any calendar, providing a biological tally of the time spent away from the soil. They watch the ice packs on the Great Lakes melt into deep blue pools, and the shadows of the mountains change as the angle of the sun shifts with the tilting of the Earth. This planetary clock is a constant presence, reminding the explorers that even though their internal world is static, the home world is in a state of perpetual and beautiful change. The contrast between their high-tech, metal sanctuary and the shifting colours of the biosphere creates a deep and persistent longing for the textures of the ground. They are witnesses to the grand cycles of life, seeing the planet as a living organism that moves through its own ancient and rhythmic seasons. This perspective reinforces their role as stewards of the world, watching over the fragile bloom of life from the safety of the dark. The concept of a day is rendered entirely meaningless when the sun breaches the horizon 16 times before a single sleep cycle is completed. Traditional clocks become mere suggestions of a schedule, as the natural rhythm of light and shadow is replaced by the clinical, steady ticking of a digital counter. This constant, rapid flickering of dawning and dusk forces the human mind to decouple from the ancient solar cycles that have governed life for millions of years. Notice the steady, rhythmic rise and fall of your own breath, a peaceful cadence that aligns with the quiet, unified spirit of the inhabitants floating far above. Feel the deep, rhythmic stillness of your own heart, a steady internal clock that remains unchanged even as the sun races across the sky above the station. Within this sanctuary, the passage of time is measured not by the rotation of the planet, but by the completion of scientific tasks and the rhythmic hum of the life support systems. The astronauts must create their own artificial sense of time, using window shades and scheduled lighting to simulate the day and night they left behind. This independence from the sun is a precursor to the long voyages that will one day take humanity to other planets, where the familiar cycles of Earth will be lost entirely. It is a quiet and disciplined adaptation, a restructuring of the internal biological clock to match the requirements of a life lived among the stars. Notice how the past, present and future seem to blur into a single, continuous stream as the station passes over ancient ruins and modern megacities in the same breath. In one fleeting moment, the jagged, sandy remnants of the pyramids of Giza crawl beneath the window, and mere minutes later, the neon grids of Tokyo ignite the night side of the globe. This orbital speed collapses the vast distances of human history into a unified visual experience, where the rise and fall of civilizations are viewed as part of a single story. The explorer sees the enduring monuments of the past side by side with the technological hubs of the future, all contained within the same spinning globe. This perspective strips away the divisions of time, revealing the planet as a repository of human effort and ambition across the ages. If we were to look closer, we would see the scars of ancient wars and the sprawling footprints of modern expansion coexisting in the same orbital frame. This temporal blur fosters a deep sense of historical continuity, a realization that we're all part of an ongoing and ancient journey. The station itself becomes a part of this timeline, a modern monument to human curiosity floating high above the ruins of the civilizations that first dreamed of the stars. It is a view that provides a profound sense of perspective, showing that our current moment is just one layer in a deep and beautiful tapestry of existence. Imagine looking down and realizing you are seeing the weather patterns of tomorrow, forming over the vast empty reaches of the southern oceans. From this height, the birth of a massive weather system is visible hours or even days before it will touch a coastline, appearing as a gentle, swirling rotation of vapor. This perspective offers a glimpse into the near future, where the movements of the atmosphere reveal the destiny of the world below, long before the people on the ground feel the first drop of rain. The astronauts can watch the massive spiraling clouds of a storm system as they gather energy from the warm waters, moving with a slow and calculated majesty across the deep. They see the invisible currents of the air manifest in the shapes of the clouds, a grand and silent map of the planet's atmospheric intentions. This foreknowledge is a quiet and powerful gift, a reminder of the station's role as a watchful sentinel over the world it protects. It is a perspective that turns the chaotic weather of the ground into a predictable and elegant choreography of air and water. The crew watches the weather of the world unfold like a slow-motion film, seeing the consequences of the planet's heat and moisture long before they manifest as a storm. This ability to see over the horizon of time is one of the most unique and meditative aspects of living in the high-speed sanctuary of the orbit. This structure exists in a state of continuous, terrifying freefall, eternally falling toward the Earth, but moving horizontally too fast to ever actually hit the surface. It is a state of perpetual arrival that never ends, a mechanical miracle where gravity is both the engine of the flight and the obstacle to it. Deep within the soul of the station, this balance creates the weightless environment that allows life to float, turning a fall into a flight. Take a slow, deep breath, observing how the air moves effortlessly in and out of your lungs without any conscious effort. Allow your body to surrender to the surface beneath you, feeling the profound security of a world that is not falling, but standing still. This state of constant freefall is what allows the crew to experience the liberation from their own weight, a physical paradox that defines their daily existence. If we were to look closer at the physics of this motion, we would see that the station is essentially a satellite of the sun that has been captured by the planet's embrace. It is a delicate and beautiful equilibrium, a high-stakes dance with the laws of motion that has continued without interruption for decades. This perpetual fall is the foundation of all orbital life, a quiet and constant reminder of the incredible forces that hold the station in its place. Astronauts often experience the overview effect, a profound cognitive shift in how they perceive the passage of time and the unity of the human species. Seeing the world without borders, protected by a thin and glowing veil of air, creates an overwhelming sense of protective empathy for the entire planet. This shift is not merely an intellectual understanding, but a visceral and emotional restructuring of the self that stays with the explorer for the rest of their life. They see the Earth as a single, interconnected system, a fragile blue marble that requires a unified effort to protect and sustain against the void. This perspective dissolves the petty divisions of nationality and politics, replacing them with a deep-seated commitment to the collective survival of the human family. The station provides the distance needed to see the world as it truly is, a small and beautiful island in a vast cosmic sea. This realization is a gift of the stars, a new way of seeing that has the power to transform the way we live on the ground. The explorers return to the surface as ambassadors of this global perspective, carrying the message of unity back to a world that is often fragmented. The overview effect is the ultimate scientific discovery of the space age, a reminder that we are all travelers on the same fragile vessel. Even as individual parts of the station are upgraded, repaired, or replaced over the years, its legacy continues as an unbroken timeline of human presence in the void. For over a quarter of a century, there has never been a single second where a human being was not living and breathing among the stars. This turns the outpost into a permanent extension of our biosphere, a metallic heart that has beat without interruption since the turn of the millennium. The station is a living museum of our ambition, a place where the work of thousands of people on the ground is preserved in the silence of the exosphere. This continuity is a powerful statement of intent, proving that humanity has established a permanent foothold in the realm of the stars. It is a legacy of cooperation and discovery that will serve as the foundation for every journey that follows into the deeper reaches of the cosmos. When the station finally reaches the end of its long and glorious life, it will perform one final magnificent act by falling back into the atmosphere of the world that birthed it. Friction will turn the massive structure into a brilliant trailing shooting star, a final burst of light that scatters the history of the laboratory across the evening sky. This eventual re-entry is the ultimate closing of the loop, a return of stardust and human effort to the planet that sent it into the dark. As the station breaks apart in a spectacular display of fire and light, it will leave behind a legacy of knowledge that will endure for centuries. The metal will melt and the modules will vanish, but the discoveries made within them will continue to shape the future of our species. It is a beautiful and poetic ending for a vessel that spent its life watching over the world from the edge of the abyss. Relax into the warmth of your own breath, appreciating the quiet, enduring peace of a world that remains whole and home beneath the stars. Imagine the final, golden streak against the night sky, a farewell from the sanctuary that held the dreams of a dozen nations for so long. The story of the station ends not in darkness, but in a glorious and radiant return to the home it never truly left. The ultimate realization is that the International Space Station is not merely a machine in orbit, but humanity's fragile, beautiful first step in learning how to leave the cradle and live among the stars. The ultimate realization is that the International Space Station is not merely a machine in orbit, but humanity's fragile, beautiful first step in learning how to leave the cradle and live among the stars. This soaring sanctuary remains a testament to our collective spirit, proving that we can carry the warmth of our home into the deepest silence of the infinite dark. It is the beginning of an eternal story, a quiet promise that the reaches of the unknown are now within the touch of our hands. This quiet room now mirrors the stillness of a sanctuary, allowing you to release the final anchors of your daily journey. Begin by noticing your toes and feet, feeling them soften as if they were floating in a gentle, warm current. Every muscle in your arches and heels now surrenders to the calm, letting go of the long path travelled throughout the day. Surprisingly, the body finds its own perfect alignment when the effort of standing is no longer required. Let the relaxation move upward through your calves and thighs, feeling them become heavy and profoundly still against the mattress. Your hips and lower back now settle into a state of total release, mimicking a structure in perfect and peaceful equilibrium. Deep within your chest, your heart beats with a slow, steady rhythm that requires no conscious guidance or effort. The air moves in and out of your lungs with an effortless grace, sustaining you in this dark and silent sanctuary. Feel the weight of the blankets pressing softly against your stomach and ribs, a warm and protective layer that holds the stillness close. This structure of your own frame is now fully supported, allowing your shoulders and arms to sink into the deep comfort of the bed. Allow your fingers to curl naturally, releasing every grip and every task as the quiet of the evening settles into your bones. Every joint in your wrists and elbows finds its own resting point, unburdened and entirely free from the tension of the world. This soft fabric against your skin is the only boundary you need now, a familiar and gentle comfort that defines your private world. The pillow supports your neck with a quiet and reliable strength, allowing the muscles of your jaw and forehead to melt into the shadows. Every tiny fibre of your face softens, from the corners of your eyes to the curve of your lips, as you enter a realm of total and perfect quiet. The walls of your room stand as silent guardians, holding the stillness of the night in a peaceful and protective embrace. Notice the cool, fresh air moving across your skin, a gentle touch that signals the arrival of a deep and restorative slumber. The fabric of the bed is a soft and heavy cloud, inviting you to sink further into the mattress with every slow and peaceful exhaled breath. You are completely safe and supported, held by the solid and enduring reality of the home you have built for yourself. Let the final fragments of your awareness drift away, becoming as thin and light as the air that fills your lungs in this perfect silence. The darkness is a soft and welcoming blanket, tucking you into a sleep that will refresh your spirit and mend your weary frame. Deep rest is yours now, a natural and beautiful conclusion to the long and varied hours of the day. Every breath is a step deeper into the quiet, a slow descent into a state of total and absolute physical surrender. You are at peace, anchored by the love and the comfort that surrounds you in this small and perfect room. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.